I probably need
Where are you?
this.
Where are you gonna stand, Vicky?
I'm usually loud, but some of you are kind of far away. I'm not, since I'm on YouTube, I'm not gonna go over explaining how Crackle glass is made again. You can look it up on YouTube or look in the books, because it took kind of a long time. But what I do want to talk a little bit about is the colors. So the most expensive colors to produce are amberina, and I'll hold them up, ruby red, and cranberry. So this is what would be considered cranberry. And one of the things I like, I need a lovely assistant. Could you hold this under the light? Thank you. One of the things up near a light bulb, oh, you're too short. Someone shall hold this under a light for me. Sorry. One of the things I love about Crackle glass is when you put it up against a light, like I have a reading light in the room where I have most of my Crackle glass, and if I turn it and focus it on the Crackle glass, it just really glows. Okay, honey, you can put your arm down.
Nice, Carmen, thank you.
So that would be one of the more expensive pieces to make. This is Blanco, and maybe, because one of the other companies also, and I think it was Bischoff, copied a lot of what Blanco did. But when you have two colors, that's when it gets to be more expensive. So even though the applied pieces on the bottom are clear, it gets to be more expensive. Now, I don't know if this is, I think it's red or if it's ruby red, but then this would be another color that's expensive to produce. What's been interesting to me in learning about Crackle is that, I knew that would happen, excuse me, is that I see a lot of red pieces when I'm out and about, and if they were that hard to produce, I guess I'm always surprised that I see that many red pieces. This is also interesting to me. This amberina piece. So these two are the same, obviously different colors, and it says amberina, really expensive to produce. I don't know if they made a boatload of these, but I will tell you that this piece sells for less than this piece. You can probably find the amberina piece for about $35. This would probably be, well, at least 60, I would think. So it's, excuse me, when you do the research on it, it's really interesting to me to find out how different things are. Okay, the other part on the colors, these are supposedly the harder to find colors. Dark amethyst. So this would be dark amethyst. Brown. Pink. Now, believe it or not, one of these, maybe not. I thought this one might be pink. You can kind of tell by looking at the bottom. This is pink, but if you hold it under the light, the bottom almost looks like it's amber. I apologize to you guys in the back. I don't mean to be turning my back to you. This is one of my favorite pieces. Also pink, but if I look at it just this way, it maybe looks like it's amber. Hard color to find. I have not found a lot of pink. Okay. Cobalt blue, light amethyst, which I really, probably that piece that Justin sold would be like a light amethyst.
Lilac tea-berry.
Yeah. This is maybe light amethyst. Cranberry, Vaseline. I have not that I've looked for it, but I have not seen a piece of Vaseline. I took my little light and I went through all my pieces. I haven't seen a piece of Vaseline Crackle anywhere. Charcoal. This is actually charcoal. I keep it next to my purple because if I put it next to my purple or my amethyst, it looks like it's purple, but this is actually charcoal. And I believe that you have a piece of charcoal for sale on that table. Just saying in case anybody's interested. Or 2 or more colors or 2-tone. And then what they call lemon, which was made by, I never know if I'm saying it right, Kanawa or however you say that. So, Kanawa, and I don't know if this is Kanawa because I'm not that good with this, like ruffles. So when they made Crackle glass, a lot of their pieces were ruffled at the top. Talked about if it's 2 colors, I like this little piece, the green with the cobalt handles. Cobalt, also again, hard to find. I'm kind of mad at myself. I sold a piece of cobalt at the glass show for not very much money. I shouldn't have done it, I should have paid attention. Okay. Light blue, even though cobalt is hard to find, I see very little light blue, or what I would call like an ice blue. Don't worry.
It's crackled.
That's right, it's already crackled. You do see a lot of, I shouldn't hold this way. Mel is haunting me right now. You see a lot of this color in Crackle. If you come to my house, I have like a whole shelf in this color. It was very easy to find. Michelle and I went to Amana the year before we took the Glass Club trip there to see if it was a good place for us to go. And I bought a lot of Crackle on that trip because I was noticing that it was beginning to get more expensive. It used to be, it seemed like you could find like a little picture for $3, $4, $5. We were walking into places and I'm like, Michelle, this picture is $25. And so I think it was beginning, kind of the beginning of Crackle getting to be a lot more expensive. I'll show you a couple of the Amberina pieces. It also, one other thing, I'm sorry I jump around. This is a lemon yellow versus an amber. I think I have 3 cream and sugar sets. I find them hard to find also, to see both.
What would that be used for?
Pardon me?
What would that be used for?
Individual cream and sugar.
That is good sugar.
So each person would get their own.
That's pretty good size for an individual.
That's pretty small, actually. This might be a, I don't know what it is. But I'm calling it a set. This is one of my favorite pieces. And I bought this in Janesville when Michelle and I decided we should go and visit Sue and Teresa when they were selling in Janesville. And I love this piece. This is an Amberina piece this is the only one I've seen, that I've seen like this. I'm sorry, what?
The piece you just held
that have the sticker on it? Is
No.
that Kiwanis?
No, it doesn't have a sticker.
Okay, because when we first joined the club, Gary won a bingo prize. That was a prize that Glenn had, and I still have the piece, but anyways, I've kept it, and it does have a
Yeah.
Kiwanis sticker.
Probably the most common for Crackle glass would be, how do you say that?
But is that,
Kanawa,
even
Kanawa,
though
whatever.
it's hobnail, they consider it crackle glass?
This is actually crackled. No, it isn't. Excuse me.
It's all hot now.
Somehow this got in. I don't know who packed it, but somehow it got in. I wasn't paying attention. Thank you. This is crackle. It's another Amberina. One thing I will tell you guys that I did tell them last week, is that smaller cracks are riskier than larger crackling, right? So that when you see a big piece, they're not gonna keep it in as long as they would a smaller piece, because the cost of losing that piece in the process of crackling it is much riskier than it would be if you just had like a little pitcher. So, and I'm going fast because I know some of you have a Super Bowl party. So this is actually one of my favorites. And this is also what would be kind of considered more of a yellow than an amber. We had this discussion last month, you know, what's the difference? And you can see slight variations. The dark green, you also don't see a lot of. I have maybe a half a dozen pieces of the dark green, but you don't see a lot of it. But I need somebody, wake up Andy, could you hold this for me? Can you be my lovely assistant and hold this up for me? So this is obviously my favorite piece. And it has a story. It's a hat or a vase, a hat vase. No one seems to know who made it. It does have the Ponto mark. To me, it has, you can put it down. Thank you. Not yet.
You can take a picture when I'm not holding
Speaking of grumpy old men. Anyway, the person I bought it from wasn't sure. To me, it has all the markings of Blanco, but I haven't found it in any book. I haven't found it in the Blanco book, haven't found it in a mid-century book. When I bought it, she referred to the color as apricot. So here's the story. So those of you who know me know there always has to be a story. And those of you who don't know me, it's a pity. Anyway, I went to visit my nephew and his family, and they live in Houston. A couple of years ago, and we went to the Houston Glass Show, which is fabulous. And if you ever get the chance to go, there was glass there that I've never seen. I mean, it was just beautiful, and of course, Texas prices also, which are bigger than Chicago prices. So we've gone through the whole show. My nephew and his wife have bought some glass. Nothing that really jumped out at me. And then I saw this hat. And I'm feeling, and this is a trick with Crackle glass, right? To be able to discern the difference between the crackle and a crack, right? So you really have to look, especially if you're buying a more expensive piece, look very carefully to be sure there isn't a crack through there. So I'm feeling all over this thing, and the booth was busy, and I thought, I feel a crack. And I can't remember for sure, but I want to say it was either $400 or $450, which is more than I have ever spent for any piece of glass. And I thought, she was too busy, they were anxious to go, I didn't want to bother her, so I left it. Shows up at the Chicago show. Same dealer. Now it's $250. And I'm still feeling it. And she was all by herself. So I told her the story and I said, I didn't want to embarrass you in front of all those people because I know you wouldn't sell something with a crack in it. And she said, no, I wouldn't. She said, show me where it is. So I put her hand, and she's going like this. She said, that might be a piece of tape. I said, well, you look at it, I'm gonna come back. So I came back around and I saw she had it back out. And she said it was a piece of tape. I said, well, I'd be interested. And before I could even finish saying, what can you do for me? She said, the best I can do is $175. So I would have spent $450 because I hadn't spent any money. So just something to kind of think about as you see things. And for those of you who are maybe newer to collecting glass, don't be afraid to ask people what the best they can do. Don't insult them. I mean, if something is, to me, if it's under $25, unless I'm putting a bunch of things together, I won't ask. But just in a nice way, say, what can you do for me, or can you do any better for me? This is a little bit out of my price range, however you want to say it. You know, I've heard people say, well, that's too expensive. Well, that's not going to get you a reduction. That's going to get you a goodbye, you can leave our booth. So that's, one more I want to show you. This has got to be either new or reproduction. I don't believe that, I could be wrong, I've never seen cased glass with crackle. So you can feel the crackle, but it's like crackle over cased, which makes no sense to me. For those of you who weren't here last year, if you look at a couple of the crackle books, there was crackle that was made in Europe. That's, again, I've never seen other than pictures. It's incredibly beautiful. I mean, it'll have scenes on it, and that's kind of where crackle started, was in Europe. What else do I want to tell you about?
Can you hold this picture up?
Yes.
That color is
So
unbelievable.
Oh, look at that.
That's gorgeous.
I don't collect crackle.
So this is a fairly common, either it's common or I just say it all the time. I shouldn't say it's common, but I have seen a lot of it, and I seem to have a lot of it. Questions? I'm sorry, I did this really fast because I think there are people who want to get to go to Super Bowl parties and get home to watch the games. Yes. What?
I was just verifying the time of the game.
Oh, I think it's 5 o'clock or 5:30.
Okay, I didn't even know what time it was on.
Yeah.
So that-
Any questions I can answer for anybody?
How do you wear the hat?
I only wear it for Easter.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have, I just have a comment. I have at home about 25 to 30 little crackle vases like this. And pictures and other things like that. My Aunt Helen was collecting them, and when she passed, she gave them to me, and I just added to them. But I have a shelf in my kitchen and I have all the colors up there. It's really
It's
great.
really, yeah, it's really pretty, and if you've got sunlight or light
Yes.
showing on it. And the rainbow, probably rainbow and pilgrim are the most common in those little pictures. You'll see those the most. And if you're Of course, you've got a label, but most of the labels I've seen have been either rainbow or pilgrim.
So, is there a piece of tape in there, or is
No,
there?
it's off.
It's off.
No
So you
cracks.
don't feel the crack anymore?
No cracks. She took the tape off.
So it was tape.
Yeah, and like I said, to me, I would call this color amber. She called it apricot. Yes, Bev?
You didn't have a brown sample, or did you have it and I missed it?
No, I must not have packed it.
I mean,
I
'cause
don't
you've got
have a
such
brown.
an array. I was surprised that you didn't.
I do have a brown one at home that I always thought was amethyst. And when I held it up to the light, I realized it was brown, but I don't think it's any of these. I think these are all amethyst. You will find, these are not inexpensive, but these are the pinch faces. You see these a lot in Crackle, in all the different colors. Let's see what else. Also, probably anything that has, again, a second color. Yes, ma'am.
The amber piece, is that a vase or a decanter that
It's a vase. I think it's a vase. I don't think it has a stopper.
Is the stopper on that red one, is that crystal or is that just glass?
I think it's just glass.
Is that
Heavy.
stopper tackled or is that just the plain?
Just plain.
Okay, thank you.
It's the same as, this little piece, decanter, has also just plain glass. That's a good question. I don't know if I've got any Crackle at home that, has little tops on. I'll have to look and see if, I don't
There's a
think any of them are
liquid decanter
Crackle.
that has a Crackle stopper on the table over there too.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Did I talk too fast? No. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you all.